Okay. So yes, as Supervisor shared, I have Mike with me, who is our Parks Director. So if there's any questions when we get into the park section that I can't answer for some reason, that's why he's here. Just overall budget highlights, just so everybody has that before we get into the numbers. As everybody has shared so far, obviously we try to keep our revenue as increase our revenue as much as we possibly can, foreseeing that future while keeping our expense in line. So for revenue for all three departments, which our department has between our senior line, our rec line, and our parks line, all three departments, our revenue is $1,419,600, which is an increase of about 6% from 2026. And our expense for all three of those departments for 2027 is $3,077,273, which is an increase of about 5%. So we're able to keep our revenue above our expense, which is obviously always our sort of our goal for the year. The 2027 budget does not include any new full-time or change of positions within the department, so there's no major personnel changes within the department for 27 from a request standpoint. Okay, so we'll get right into 6772, which is our senior account line. That consists of one full-time and then one 20-hour week person. So as we go through here, you'll see some of the salary lines that relate to either our full-time person or part-time person, which is the nutrition personnel. That's the person that actually helps with preparing our senior lunches every day, Monday through Friday, for our senior lunch program. So that has been adjusted with her current pay rate and with her hours, which is between 20 to 25 hours, just depending on the season. Capital purchases in 26, we had 0. We did increase that to 1,000. If you recall, for the last 2 years, we've been fortunate to be able to use ARPA funds to be able to offset a lot of our expenses, both in our senior as well as our youth program areas. So we've been fortunate for that.
Naomi's enjoying the sweet sound of earning and saving money on Vinted with 0 selling fees and
remaining funds are gone actually as of November this year. We'll have depleted those. So we did put some money back into that account just for items that may come up for the senior department that we need to get. Computer equipment and licensing. Again, as some have already shared, we have updated all of our computers in 26 with all of the computers that needed to be updated because they had to go to Windows 11. But as we go into 27, we have a number of computers in the department that are 5, 6, 7 years old. So we are, at the request of IT, changing the computer out as well. So with these lines do go up because we do need to purchase new computers for the staff. Mileage stays pretty flat. Food, slight reduction. That's 4 items for senior programming or non-senior lunch type of activities. The provision is actually that senior lunch where we actually purchase the meals through Monroe County. Supplies and miscellaneous, slight increase, and then the rest are relatively flat. We did increase Webster senior transportation by $500 this year. It's been a few years since we've increased our support of that organization, so we did increase that to $8,500. Obviously, their service is very vital to the community and to the seniors that take advantage of that. So overall, pretty standard in regards from year to year, no major changes. On the revenue side, from a senior standpoint, we did increase all 3 lines. We are seeing more activity in our senior program. The senior recreation are for programs that are not senior lunch related. So, parties, special events, special activities that are scheduled. We're seeing more activity as those are continue to increase. We're seeing a nice increase in participation. So we reflected that through the revenue. The nutrition revenue is, again, that offset from our senior lunch. That is not a required pay for seniors to purchase lunch. It is a suggested donation that the county has for their program. So we are fortunate that a lot of our seniors do, but we do have some seniors that even that daily lunch fee is a struggle. So we're a little conservative on our nutrition revenue. And then that's our reimbursement from the county. So that's actually what we receive back from the county for the number of meals that we actually supply to our seniors through senior lunch. I can keep going right through, and I can take any questions at the end if that's easiest. Okay,
Yeah, I got it.
Mike, you're up. I'm just kidding. So this is the recreation line. Again, consists of we have a recreation director, Katie, an office manager, Shannon, a finance clerk, Jenny, and then 4.5 program staff. They're actually the ones that put together the programs, the activities, the events that take place within the department. So the first several lines are just in regards to salary lines. Our overtime for full-time staff, we have not really adjusted that several years. We work with our staff to be able to flex their schedule, so when we have events, et cetera, we don't have to tap into that overtime line. Administrative support, which is 10087. That is for our front office staff. That number is significant because the building is open 115 hours on average per week, especially now that the building is open until 10 p.m. 5 days a week. We do have a lot of activities that are in the program or just usage of the building until late at night, so we do have to have staff in there. So that is a part-time driven line strictly for our front office staff. It also covers our weekends and as well. Recreation coordinators, that's some of our full-time staff that's within that, same as our rec supervisor. Part-time personnel fitness, that is for any of our on-staff fitness instructors that we have that may teach a class. Those classes obviously are offset by the revenue that's generated that we'll get to in a minute. Same thing with the next strength staff, Premier Fitness. That is for anything that we have fitness related that fall within our Premier membership and our expense to be able to put those programs on. But again, we'll explain the revenue side of that in a second. Recreation personnel 10094. I'm losing track of where we're going. Same thing, that again is more staff within the building, and we've increased this over the last several years. It's probably still a little conservative in regards to how much is in there because it's a difficult number to peg every year just based on the number of programs. Some years, some of the programs are larger, so we have more instructors that are going. Some years it's not quite, so we've increased it to try to be on track where we are in 26. 26 numbers are a little too conservative as we are finding our expenses increase. But again, when I get to the revenue, I can share how that gets offset by the revenue side. Seasonal playground 10097 is our seasonal. This we broke out a few years ago, and actually I can go back to 196 as well. So 2 years ago, this used to all be one line between our seasonal and our part-time. So this is anybody who teaches a class part-time, might be an art class or it might be a preschool class, everybody was lumped into one line. Last year we broke this out, so it was easier for us to track this. We actually should have had about $26,000 in 26 for the 10096 because that's about what we figure for our part-time non-camp related expense. So that's why we adjusted that for 27 to have that 27.5. And then the 182 is strictly for our summer camp program, as well as any of the break week camps that we do during the school year. So those are all tracked within their individual lines. So instead of it being lumped together, it's a better picture for us to be able to see our expense directly related to those, what I'll say, larger programs. Same with the next one, which is sport league personnel, very specific to, umpires and those kind of things for our sport programs. Recreation, finance, and office staff. This is our full-time staff that's within our front office, as well as, again, the finance clerk. Fitness specialist is Jay, who is our fitness specialist within the department. Now we get into some of the other expenses, computer equipment and licensing. This, like I said, for 6772, this shows the extra cost for computers that we need to upgrade that are, again, 5+ years old. I believe there's 5 computers that need to be updated within the department. So we have budgeted for that. Some of these other items, operational equipment, interpreter expense, operational equipment, I'll go back to that. That's for just, again, for general equipment purchases. We've been fortunate that, like I said, with the ARPA funds, that we were really able to capitalize on a lot of that in 26. So therefore, we don't think we're going to need as much of it in 27. So we've kept some in just so as a backup, but we don't need as much as we anticipated in prior years. Interpreter expense is a new cost. This is actually something that we are starting to see more of as we are being required to be able to provide an interpreter for certain programs. That cost is now being built into its own line, so we can track that rather than go specific to the program. We're at least able to track that. We have a number of individuals that participate in programs that we have to use interpreter for, so we have a way to be able to track that. The rest of these lines are pretty straightforward in regards to just what I'll say typical increases. Our fitness equipment, copier leases, these are all estimated costs. Satellite TV, that's a hard baked cost. Cell phones, we try to keep as flat as we can. General repairs and maintenance, this is for what we call general building issues that come up, whether we need to change a lock or we need to change a light fixture, we need to change partitions in a men's bathroom. This is general repairs that may come up throughout the year. Go down to the building maintenance contract, $75,000. This is for our nighttime cleaner. So the building is cleaned 7 days a week by a nighttime contracted cleaner. That contract is up this year, so the 75 is actually just a best case estimate. I'm not really sure how that number is going to play out. I think it's been 4 years that we've had them under contract.
I think so.
So it'll be interesting to see how the numbers look as we go into 27. Some of these other numbers, again, pretty standard. We just show some increase generally as a inflation cost goes. We do have a couple of sport league subcontractors we've reduced slightly, again, as we start to see some of our numbers in some of the program areas start to drop a little bit, and we're a little bit overly, in the past, we've been a little bit aggressive with some of our numbers, so we've tried to be more realistic in some of those. Summer camp, 40227, that is a number, again, that we started to break out 2 years ago when we started to track program lines specifically. That's strictly specific to our camp line or a camp program. So again, we've been able to get by in these past 2 summers with using some of that county funds that we don't anticipate having. We know we won't have available in 27. Programs and independent contractors, a jump of about 20,000, but again, you'll see on the revenue side how we balance that. Sport leagues equipment, again, just typical what we see for things like nets and equipment that are specific to sport leagues. Background checks, concession stand purchases, all these are pretty standard. And then when we get into utilities, it's a best case based on year-to-year average. As we scroll down, now we get into the revenue side of 70/20, actually for the department. Obviously, you can see our camp program at the beginning, at the first line. We've increased that by about 20,000. The good news is we anticipate that number will probably be very achievable, as we have already for 26 achieved our camp program line by about $92,000 over budget. So we're in good shape. So we know that number is also. We don't try to be too aggressive with that, because obviously year to year with our business is a little difficult to be able to predict, but our hope is that people continue to find our services worthwhile, which they have. That's why our revenue continues to show that increase. Increase in WPRD programs. So those are those programs that are offered by our own staff. Program of independent contractors. Again, those are for what we hire out for a subcontractor. We continue to see that growth. Transportation fees, that is our senior transportation. So we do require, or we do ask that people pay $1 for a ride. So we are seeing that become more heavily used. So we've increased that. Sport leagues, we continue to see silver fees, which is actually from MVP and Excelis. This is actually an insurance-based line. We continue to see this line do very well as our membership continues to grow, especially with our members that have insurance-based programs. We're sort of at the mercy of the insurance-based or insurances in regards to, if they change their program or if they change their fee structure. But we continue to see a very strong showing from our members. So that's why we've increased that from 80 to 85. User fee, that's a pretty standard fee or a charge in regards to the number of rooms that we can rent and when we can rent them. That's sort of static from year to year, so that's why there's not as much of a jump there. Special events, so that's the support we get for special events, to be able to put some of those special events on that we have throughout the year. We continue to see local businesses willing to contribute to help support those, so we've reflected that. Facility rental, same thing. That's sort of a static number. We only have so many fields. There are only so many days that we can rent, so that sort of stays pretty consistent. Fitness classes has been an interesting number for us to track. So for the board's clarification, a few years ago, all of our memberships were not in one line. And actually, we had it broken up. We had premiers broken up into this line. So a few years ago, we changed the budgeting, the way we report our budgeting. So now all of our memberships, premier, seniors, individuals, family, whatever it is on one line. This line that we're looking at, 2035, is actually specific to fitness classes. So that would be somebody who is not a member that wants to come in and take a class. They pay their drop-in fee, or they might pay a drop-in fee to do pickleball. It was a tough number to really kind of nail down because we didn't know based on how many people were premier members. So it's taken us a little while to adjust that number. So that's why you see that drop from 20 to 7,500. That's a more realistic number, but we make it up for in the fitness memberships. So we're finding that not as many people are actually coming in doing the one-time drop-in. They'll come in and they'll try a class out, which is what we encourage. But generally what we find then is they become members. So we're actually having them be regular members. So that's why our number for 2045 went from 210 to 260. We continue to see our fitness membership do exceptionally well. Jay does a fantastic job with his staff from a program standpoint. And for those of you that know, when I started here in Webster, I started the day COVID started, March 16th. We saw a major drop off of our fitness memberships. That was realistically, we never knew where we were going to come back from. I like to point out this sort of significance that at the highest pre-COVID, there was around 500 memberships on a monthly installment bill. It was like 560 was how many memberships were billed on a monthly installment. When COVID hit, that number dropped to around 200. Once we started charging back. So that's how many people canceled their memberships. And, the question was, are we ever going to get back? This past month, we were at 760. So it's impressive. It's what they do, what the fitness center does on a monthly basis, and their interactions is to be commended. So that number has really changed since I got here, and very, very strong work by our fitness staff. The next two numbers are what we applied for through the county. We get a reimbursement. Basically, this is to offset some of our expenses that we have we put it towards our summer camp program. It's not a lot of money, but it does, provide some revenue from the county to it. Sale of equipment, we've estimated $7,500. That's for a sale of a Kubota piece of equipment that I'll get to here in a second. Or actually, maybe I'll let Mike explain if need be. So we expect that we'll get some revenue as we send some equipment to auction. Then that last item is a concession stand. We do operate the concession stand over here at Miracle Field, so we do bring in some revenue. 26 was what we'll call anomaly. The 6,500 is more realistic of what we anticipate to see from revenue from that stand. So our total revenue in 27, we expect to be about 1,178,000, just up from 26. We were just over 1,100,000. And again, as I expect, that number in 26 we'll achieve that number because we're already at 1 million of revenue for the year. So I anticipate that we'll be way beyond that. So I feel very strong that our numbers for 27 are achievable. And then we'll go to parks. These, again, pretty standard at the beginning. We have a arboretum laborer, which is a part-time position, our highway laborer, which is what we charge back to our highway department for any time we get their assistance, overtime pay. Mike's done a great job as he came in this year, and Glenn previously, with keeping our overtime pay in check. And then our full-time staff are those next several lines. Computer equipment and licensing, same thing. They have a couple computers in the Parks barn that need to be upgraded, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Capital improvements 20059. Let me make sure I get everything correctly, or Michael hit me while I'm sitting here. So 20059 is our capital improvement line. This is where we typically have done major improvements or improvements to our various parks. So if you recall, the last few years, we've made some improvements to parking lots, to entrances to parks, et cetera. In 27, our plan is to use that 80,000 to finish our parks barn, which we had planned to do in 26, and we're doing. It's just price of materials this year is going to probably not allow us to be able to finish that project in 26. So we've put some money into 27 to finish it. And then the remaining funds we'll use to complete a paving project at Kemp Park in front of the playground area, which is sorely needed. So 20063, which is our capital purchase of equipment. So this is up a little bit, and there's two reasons why. One is we're going to be looking to replace our Kubota tractor. That Kubota tractor is a heavily used piece of equipment for the Parks Department. It's currently just over 7 years old. It's showing its age, a lot of rust on it. Heating unit doesn't work anymore, and we use that piece of equipment in the winter. Plows our sidewalks, plows a lot of the entrances to buildings, but just a general overall useful piece of equipment. This is the piece that I did reference earlier in revenue that we'll be sending off to auction is the old one. So we're looking to replace that. Plus, we're also looking to purchase a couple pieces of equipment that would be utilized by the Ventrac piece of equipment that we purchased in 26. That Ventrac equipment has been very useful by the park staff in maintaining our ball fields. So there's a couple pieces of equipment that we loaned out and tried out this year. We were fortunate to be able to do that at no cost, and found that equipment would be very useful for us to actually own. So we're going to move forward with purchasing that equipment, which obviously helps and speeds up the process, plus makes it much more efficient. And then the other piece in this line that resulted in the increase is we're looking to replace. So as you know, we try to replace our fleet vehicles every year. We're going to try to go back to purchasing a vehicle. We've had some issues with our fleet system with Enterprise, both getting equipment or getting trucks and getting vehicles and getting them outfitted, that Mike and I made the decision that we would work off state contract, purchase outright a vehicle or truck that would be used by the Parks Department, which was the plan all along. So rather than build it into our operating lease expense line, we just purchase it outright. So Mike did go through the process of state contract, got a quote, what a purchase of the vehicle or truck would be for. So that's built into this line as well.
I just want to have one comment on that with respect to the leasing. The sewer department is doing exactly what you're doing, and they broke the numbers down, and it's much more cost effective just to go out and purchase the vehicles. So I just wanted to throw that in there
Good.
for you.
Good to hear. Thanks, John. The Park Improvement Fund, that is our $20,000 that basically what we use as items come up within parks, whether we have to replace, a sign, or we need to replace, a partition in a restroom in one of the bathrooms, or a fountain. That's the fund that is used for that. Capital purchase of parks, that's generally for things like string trimmers or those type of equipment that may come up, chainsaws. We kept our cell phone lines flat. Vehicle operating expense, that's that lease line, so that stayed very much the same. Fuel line, this may be a number that may change over the course of time. We'll see. We've seen this number go down and then go back up. So we were trying to be as conservative as we could based on what we look like we're going to be for 26, but seeing the way fuel rates are going, this number may be a little low. The rest of the numbers through here are pretty straightforward. Probably the only one that we ever really run into towards the end of the year that we look at maybe having to adjust is our maintenance supply line. We did up it a little bit, but again, as costs go up for things like garbage bag or even dog poop bags, that shows a significant, or this is where we charge those items back. So lawn service, I will highlight that. That is a estimate as well. Our contract is up with Rochester Lawn Care, so we'll be going through that process here and probably in the next month and a half to 2 months, going out to bid for that service. So we're just sort of using industry standards of what we're currently paying and it seems to be appropriate based on some of the other municipalities around us that offer or do the same service. Rest of those numbers actually from a total parks appropriation slightly down. We do have some revenue line in here. This is $130,000. This is for revenue of rental of our lodges. So we have the two lodges. We have the Arboretum Lodge, which is the Curry Building, and then the lodge at Finn, which is Liberty. Kind of what I said earlier about rooms, only so many weekends, only so many days. So this is a pretty static number. We did not change the number for rates for this. We did actually just in the last 2 weeks do a benchmark of all of the local parks that surround us of similar size. We did do a benchmark just to ensure that we're not either at the high end or at the low end. We're cost effective for our residents to be able to rent our two lodges. And Mike, do you want to speak? Because I'm tired of talking. Maybe you want to add?
You did a great job. You did a great job.
Any questions?
I mean, overall, when you net out the revenues, you're only up 82,000, which is, of course, we don't have the COLA in there, but
Right.
still, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It is a actual testament to your entire staff that the numbers keep going up despite the fact we keep thinking we hitting the ceiling. So everybody over there does an amazing job. So thank you.
To that end, I just want a quick question for you, because I know that since you've come to Webster, you have significantly grown the Parks and Rec. Do you know, just off the top of your head, when you first got here, what the revenue was versus what it is now?
I can't give you a number. I can tell you that our current revenue projection for 26 is more than it's been.
Yeah.
We do track that every year. Obviously, well, actually, we track it every month when we do month end. And our projections for 26 are going to put us in a position where every year since I've been here, we've been able to up it. And truthfully,
Significantly. So.
Yeah, we've been able to do that without really raising costs.
Right.
We've been able to keep our camp fees at a relatively flat fee. We really do make an effort, and the staff really do a great job of ensuring that the programs and the services that we do, even on the park side, while there's not revenue, is that things stay in line with, a service to the community, because we understand, this is a benefit that people get from us being in the town that maybe that sometimes people don't always consider. So we try to do that as best we can. Obviously, there's cost to it, so that's why we try to ensure, get as much activity and much usage out of those programs and events we can, so that it drives our revenue up.
No, you and your staff have done a
they've done a
phenomenal
great
job.
job.
So kudos to you.
I would
Mike and Katie
personally
do a great job.
testify that as I've had at least one kid in a summer program every week this
That's
summer.
good.
So I really appreciate it. And for young parents out there who are also taking advantage of the program, it's hugely beneficial. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think, Chris, in line with that, just the amazing work you've done of increasing the membership without increasing the rate is a testament of that takes a lot of work to drive more people there, because it's not like you have some big facility,
Exactly.
you don't have a pool, you have what you have.
That's a great point, Garrett. Actually, and I'll say that Jay is probably one of the best fitness people I've ever worked with. I mean, I worked with Jay when he was at Xerox, and for him to be in the town is a significant resource, both his knowledge and his just ability to be able to grow that program. And to your point, our fitness facility is not the largest. We don't have a pool to tie onto, but people really find value in it. Plus just the other features that they have available, whether it's classes or open pickleball or pickleball times, and just those kind of features is really, it's a benefit, and it's a testament to the staff and what they do.
Great. Thank you.